So, a few months ago I was searching for a lens, an affordable lens that I could use for my general work and for YouTube. So, a bit of searching and I ended up getting the TTartisan 50mm f1.2 lens. All that for 110 euros. And yes, you also heard me right, 110 euros. Unfortunately, it's a manual focus lens. And today, we're gonna do a full review of this lens from build quality to image quality. Let's find out if it's worth it. So, first thing, we're gonna talk about the build quality and overall presentation of the lens. This means anything from build quality, the feeling, and the usage. Then we'll talk about the image quality and the images that can offer in different apertures. Of course, I will show you some nice videos and a few photos so you can get an idea. And at the end, we'll talk about one major disadvantage that this lens offers. So, let's talk. Now, starting with the build quality, I was greeted with this effed up box that thanks to Amazon shipping. Luckily, even though the box was torn apart, the lens itself was in perfect condition. The box itself isn't anything interesting, and frankly, it's just a bad quality box. But the lens inside was different. It was heavy, full-blown metal. The whole body is made up of metal. The focus ring and the front cap is made up of metal. Which, by the way, makes this amazing sound when I open up the front cover. Take a look. Of course, you have to be careful as you can accidentally scratch the lens with the metal cap. So yeah, it's cool, but take care. The only thing that was plastic, well, a bad quality plastic, is the back cover, which, well, it's okay. The design apart from the material is very good and unique. It definitely catches its eye with this very vintage design. Plus, mixes well with the vintage looking X3 camera that I have, Fujifilm X3. You can check out my video on my Fujifilm X3 right over here. Or here. Yeah, here. Oh, by the way, the focus ring is also very smooth. Smoother than other more expensive lenses I have tried. Although, it tends to be on the stiffer side, and you have to get used to that stiffness to focus properly. And the aperture ring makes this oddly satisfying sound when turned around. Overall, the design is outstanding for the price. Full metal, heavy and quality. So much so that I'm afraid I'll break the floor when this thing drops. Yeah. Now, not everything is about design. The design is great and vintage, but does the image quality hold up with this design? Now we'll talk about the image quality of the TTartisans from f1.2 to f16. But before, we'll see a few small stuff before we get to the actual images. Now the camera has f1.2 aperture and you can clearly see the aperture inside. Thanks to its wide open glass, and frankly looks quite vintage. It is made up of 7 different glass elements and uses a sonar optical concept, which helps this glass get this nice and compact look, and well, offer a very wide aperture for a small body. So now let's take a look at the image quality. And I also made sure that everything was on point and took a few images just to be sure that everything was in focus. Now let's start with f1.2. The photos are quite soft. They have this hollow look to them, and frankly, looked like the lens was dirty. Getting closer, the center is okay. Still not completely bad, but very out of contrast. The edges aren't better either, but neither extremely worse. Now the images at f1.2 were quite soft, but that was quite expected. Most lenses at f1.2 will have some kind of softness to it. But most people will only use the f1.2 in very specific occasions. Now turning down a notch at f2.8, things were a lot better. We see a lot more contrast and things have improved dramatically from f1.2. Some good details in the center, to be honest. And it's very sharp compared to the f1.2 at least. Compared to f1.2, the images looks way better and totally usable. At f2.8, you can make sure that the images are crisp and sharp. That's the aperture that I would use if you want images, usable images for professional work. Afterwards, at f5.6, photos get a bit sharper yet again. But we don't see a huge difference like we did with the last one. The edges have improved overall. We get a nicely and decent sharp and contrast image. And f5.6 is ideal for the sharpest photo you can get. At f8, surprisingly, we don't see much of an improvement in the center and the edges. Frankly, no difference at all. Maybe in a few images, but here we don't see much difference. And overall, image looks very similar to f5.6. Now at f16, we get worse images and sharpness, while contrast stayed about the same as f8.0 or at f5.6. So the contrast wasn't affected, but we saw a dramatic detail loss from f8 to f16, and it was noticeable. Now overall, the image quality compared to the price is outstanding, to be quite honest. Now, if you're going to use this lens for professional work, maybe for photography or product photography, you'll probably use a higher aperture, which, well, results in sharp images. And you can use it for decent professional work. And if you want artistic type of images, you can bump it down to f1.2, and you can have that amazing blur and artistic looking type of photos, even though the sharpness isn't at its best and the contrast is quite poor. The photos are just for hobby and for just general artistic type of use. Plus, you get this beautiful bokeh, and it's just crazy for an APS-C sensor, although the bokeh isn't the sexiest I've seen. Now enough talking, and let's see some videos and images of this product. Enjoy. As you can see, the videos look quite nice. In some cases it can look a bit soft, and in other cases it looks perfectly fine. But hey, that's what you get. Now, we'll talk about the disadvantages of this lens. Now, I'm not going to talk about the disadvantages that I got with the image quality, because for 110 euros, you just can't expect something better. To be quite honest, I was expecting worse quality images with f1.2, and I got something a lot better than I expected, especially the build quality. Now, one major disadvantage about this product, at least I saw other people also suffering from this disadvantage, is its manual focus. Now, manual focus can be okay, especially if you have an assistant, or especially the camera assists you with the focus. But the problem is, when you focus to unlimited, you get a blurry photo when taking landscapes. So you have to fiddle around and find the perfect spot, which is extremely difficult to get the focus. It's not ideal, because I did lose a lot of photos because of that, because all of them were out of focus. So overall, I would buy this lens if you're going to use it for general hobby type of project, and if you're going to use it for YouTube videos like I do, and general product photography for a higher aperture. And if you're going to use this manual lens, you sure bet to have a bit of patience, because focusing unlimited and getting those issues is quite painful. You just need time and just relax taking photos. And if you're not going to use this camera for very quick occasions, then it's a good lens, to be quite honest, for the price. and I will highly suggest you get this lens if you want something similar. So that's it for today. Please like if you like the video and subscribe, because I will do more videos for you guys. Everything that has to do with photography, videography, lenses, and technology and reviews. Plus, I will review the Fujifilm XT3, and if you have any suggestions and if you want me to review anything specific, please leave them in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.